Good morning, fam. Good morning. What's going on? It is Kyle Henderson of Bama Football on YouTube. Can I get a roll tide? I appreciate you guys being here. Thank you so much for joining me. Today is Tuesday. Today is September 17th. I hope you are off to a fantastic start. It is bye week right here on Bama Football on YouTube, but the news don't stop. We continue to cover the Alabama Crimson Tide. Today on the show, we got a bye week injury report following Coach Jalen Milroe's Monday press conference. Going to talk about the biggest question marks thus far. Want to get some interaction from you regarding those topics. I'm going to show you the defensive totals and the offensive totals through 3 games. We're going to talk about Jalen Milroe's passing tree. He was just named the SEC Offensive Player of the Week as the Alabama quarterback continues to turn heads. You guys see him at T-Mobile here in Tuscaloosa. Him and Ryan Williams posted up, giving out interviews. Yo, the line was literally wrapped around the door. I saw some photos circulating around on social media. We're going to talk about the Freshman Report and all the pressure that is on Georgia. I appreciate you guys being here. Kyle Henderson, Bama Football on YouTube. Let me know where you guys are watching from inside the comment box as I get things started. It's always good to check in with everybody right here on Bama Football on YouTube. And, I always appreciate the interaction. Coach Jalen Milroe has this program absolutely rolling. It's amazing what they continue to do. And going into this game against Georgia, I love to see it. I honestly think, and I'll talk about this on the back end of the show, that the pressure is on Georgia in this game, and I'll explain why. I appreciate you. I see Chris from New Jersey, Max, Case, Carl, what's up? Patriot Life up in the house. Yeah, everybody up in here. Appreciate it. Thanks. All right. Let's immediately start with looking at that injury report, okay? I don't think I mentioned, I'm talking on the back end about all the pressure on UGA. Let me know. Right now, type yes or no. Do you think that the pressure is on Georgia in this game? Yes or no? Type Y if you do. I personally do. I'll explain why at the back end of the show. All right. Here is the bye week injury report. This is coming from Coach Jalen Milroe following his Monday press conference. I wanted to organize it, talk about it a little bit. Cole Adams, arm, it seems like he's week to week. Look, the injury on TV, it seemed more serious, but my goodness, thank goodness that he's okay. So week to week, in this early bye, I know it's a little bit weird that we have an early season bye. You're going to have another bye as well, open week, whatever you want to call it. This one came at a really great time because you have all of August where, it's a straight out war. You have these early season games and then an extra week to kind of recover a little bit. I mean, you see the injuries and then you get to also prepare for Georgia, right? I like where it's at. Now, this is also another positive update on Quay, right? He said kind of the lower leg. He didn't elaborate too much, but he did say positive update. I love that, right? The positive update for Quay Russo. Alabama's very talented redshirt freshman wolf position player. So that's another really good update. You can get him maybe up to speed by the end of the week. Now, Alabama isn't practicing until Thursday. They got some time off to have a little bit of personal time, get some rest and recovery. And then Malachi Moore, he's been playing very violent. Looked like he was checked out for concussion protocols, but that was another positive update. So, man, it's been good. Even though these players have been going through war with fall camp and early on in the season, hasn't been too many bad injuries. Knock on wood, that's been great. And these guys have been able to recover and come back. Richard Young. Now, this one is interesting. Coach Jalen Milroe said he needs to continue to evaluate Richard Young. That's a leg. He said lower leg injury. So keep you posted on that. And just like all these positions, I mean, Alabama has so much depth, but this is where we stand right now. Jeremiah Alexander, out, unknown injury, and then Jalen Hell, leg, he's out until further notice. So that's where things stand right now for the Alabama Crimson Tide when you look at the injury report. Not bad. I mean, these first, few games, to come out relatively healthy. I see. I mean, there's a list of guys that could be worse. It could be guys that are out for the season, whatever. I mean, feel good with where Alabama is. I appreciate you guys being here. Kyle Henderson, Bama Football on YouTube. Today on the show, we're talking about the injury report following the bye week. The biggest question marks of this team, that'll be our next topic. Defensive totals, offensive totals. We'll look at Jalen Milroe's passing tree. Talk about the freshman report as well. And talk about the fact that I feel all the pressure is on UGA. Hit that UGA sucks emoji right now if you can. That's always a fun one to do. All right, let's go to our next topic right now. Question marks right now, and this is interesting when you look at the question marks of this team. I'll bring it full monitor. Will you post right now what you think your biggest question mark is about this team? Curious to get your feedback on this. Because when I look to this team through the first 3 games, these are mine. And I'll go through them one by one and explain why. Oh, I love the UGA emoji. So my first point is, and you go ahead and list your question mark or something that might be on your mind about this team that you're kind of watching, you have your eye on. For me, the first point is the deep ball versus an accurate quarterback. We've spotlighted it a few times. We've talked about it. Receivers getting behind defensive backs. Now, the defensive backs have played really well in the first 3 games. But if we're being honest about it, they haven't been challenged by an accurate quarterback. They haven't. Like, that's fact. TJ Finley wasn't it. Byron Brown. They faced, 5 quarterbacks so far? Neither of them can get the ball to the receiver. Now, with that said, Coach Kane Womack said yesterday that they have played 100 snaps of man coverage. And I think they're averaging like under 5 yards a catch or something crazy like that. So the defensive secondary, they've done their job. The corners have done their job against who they've gone against. No one's really talked about Damani Jackson yet, and he hasn't been challenged. But if you look at his grade and you look at, the receptions that he's allowed, he's done a good job against receivers up to this point in time. Now, how are they going to do against an accurate quarterback? An accurate deep ball quarterback? I guess we'll see. The good news is these guys are growing up all the time. You see all the freshmen playing in the secondary. The two freshmen that see the most playing time in the secondary that'll be in positions in big games will be Zabian Brown, who's a starting corner, and Red Morgan, who swaps in at the Husky position with Devontae Smith. Like, those guys will play against Georgia. Those guys will play against Tennessee, LSU, etc. Other guys will come in. Jalen Mbakwe will certainly play, but those are the guys who play the most reps and will play in big games as well as young guys. So how will this secondary fare against an accurate quarterback that can throw the football? That's one of my biggest question marks. Because I feel that if you're going to, one of the ways that I think if you wanted to try to beat this Alabama football team would be to outscore them. I feel that that's going to be very difficult to do. But you look to the teams, way down the road that Alabama theoretically could match up with. They're going to have an elite quarterback, an elite wide receivers, right? That can stretch the field, that can challenge you. So when you look to those top teams, and right now, the number 1 ranked team in the country, let's face it, Texas, they have good quarterbacks, good wide receivers. My second question so far, and we heard from Nick Sheridan yesterday about Kendrick Law and Kobe, and it's early. It's 3 games. But we can go to the stats and we can look through 3 games and talk about the utilization of Kendrick Law and Kobe Prentice, right? Kobe has 5 catches through 3 games. Kendrick Law has been involved in the offense, but he has 1 reception for 22 yards, which was a touchdown. But I didn't understand, I didn't think that he'd just have 1 reception through 3 games. Now, on the flip side, Jeremy Bernard and Ryan Williams, my goodness, what are you going to do? Take the ball out of their hands? Take away their opportunities? Those guys are performing at an elite level. Ryan Williams might be one of the best wide receivers in the entire country. Yeah, I just said that. Now, Coach Sheridan said that he's a really good player with the football and without the football. I think what he means by that is, in terms of being a wide receiver that can set up blocks downfield, the guy literally picked up a dude from Wisconsin in the air and, pancaked him or just kind of tossed him. So I would imagine at some point in time we see more Kendrick Law, but that is a question mark, right? And I know those of you, when you speak about guys that aren't playing, you always have in the back of the mind, someone sliding into their DMs, someone talking to them about, hey, the grass would be greener over here for you to play. Now, the thing about Kendrick Law and Kobe Prentice, those guys could come back next season too. They have eligibility remaining. It's a good problem to have. Alabama has so many weapons. And it's a gauntlet of a season, right? You're going to have guys who might be a little bit banged up. And look, all it takes is a game or 2 for these guys to really break out or to come up with a big play for your team. But when you look to the stats, it's not like Kendrick Law or Kobe Prentice, they're not playing. They are playing. They're getting snaps every single game. The guy who's not getting snaps and is not playing, we're going to talk about him in a minute, is Keon Keeley. The dude's played 3 snaps in 3 games, and they were all in the first game. So I think, I would imagine that Law and Kobe are utilized going forward. It is interesting to look at the stats, but I think they'll be better for it, down the season. I think they'll be utilized. They each have a touchdown pass, right? Touchdown reception. This is another one that is interesting, and I think we only have a limited data points, but is there an issue with the run defense? It's worth asking. There's been 2 drives this season, one by South Florida that went for forever. I think it was a 14-play drive. The quarterback was just running, literally just gashing Alabama up the middle of the field. And the second drive that I want to talk about is from Wisconsin, where they had, a 18-play drive all the way down the field, literally just running the football. It ended with a touchdown, a passing touchdown by the backup quarterback. And as you'll see when we look at the defensive numbers, you'll see that where they are ranked in terms of stopping the run, right? I don't know. What do you think? Yes or no inside the comment box, Undefeated. I appreciate you guys being here. Are you a little bit concerned? Let me ask you this. Are you concerned with the rush defense right now? Yes or no? Are you concerned with the rush defense right now? Jarvis has an updated line for us. It is Georgia's favored by 2.5 in that game. Oh, man. Taking Alabama all day long. You better get in on that. Yes or no, you have a concern about the Alabama run defense? Jeff is saying yes. Bond is saying no. Nelson Holland saying absolutely. I'm going to guess the over-under is going to be, 51.5 for that game. Let's see. Jarvis will get it updated. Trainwreck, what's up? See you inside the comment box. 51.5. There you go. All right. Almost threw a bullseye on that, right? So Tenepet is saying no. Samuel Edwards is saying no. Okay. Yeah, I don't think there's an issue stopping the run game. I just think those drives have been maybe well executed by the opposition. But overall, I haven't seen like a glaring weakness. In fact, if you look to the Pro Football Focus overall grades, they've graded out really well in terms of rush defense. But when I show you this next graphic on the other side, after 3 games, they're ranked, I think, like number 71 in the country on run defense. I don't think it's a big issue to worry about right now. All right, this next point is about Keon Keeley. Yo, where's he been? I saw the Bama Standard, which is another YouTube channel I'm sure you guys know about. They said they put out a missing persons alert for Keon Keeley. The thing about Keon Keeley is he's a redshirt freshman here at Alabama, 5-star. Him and Yanze came in together. And we're so excited for these freshmen to get on the field. You didn't see him last year. Second year here. And the excitement about him, and he was all over the headlines on everybody's front page because he put on, 35 pounds, and he was moved from the wolf position, outside backer, to the bandit position, right? Going to have your hand down in the dirt to chase after quarterbacks. He hasn't played. He played 3 times this season in 3 games. Will we see him later on? I don't know. I don't think it's a talent thing at all, right? I don't think it's an injury thing. I have no idea. What could it be? Where is he? What are some other ideas? I mean, have you heard a rumor out there? I haven't heard anything about Keon Keeley other than just at some point in time he'll play. Michael, my Tuesday shows are pretty much just topical. And Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, that's what I'll open up the phone line. Usually like Thursdays and Fridays. I'll let you guys know during the show when I will open up the call-in line. But today will just be a topical kind of, me and you type deal with the undefeated. Appreciate the question, though, Michael. Thank you so much for being here, man. I appreciate it. I appreciate you. 82-1. I appreciate you guys watching the show this morning. Today is Tuesday, September 17th. We're talking about the biggest question marks right now for Alabama. We talked about deep ball accuracy. From when a quarterback is accurate, how will Alabama's secondary fare? Will we see more of Kendrick Law and Kobe Prentice? Is there an issue with the defense with stopping the run? And I have no idea where Keon Keeley is. Other than that, he's just where he needs to be, and, we'll see him at some point in time. I haven't heard anything else about him. And I think the question, not only for us, but for the rest of the world of college football is, Jarvis, I agree with that, man. Bama should be favored. Can anyone stop Jalen Milroe? Seriously. That's probably got to be one of the biggest questions on the Texas board, on the Georgia board, probably Georgia right now, right? And all the other teams that have Alabama on their schedule. And, for Ohio State or for other teams that think they can make a run for the national title is, can anyone stop Jalen Milroe? I mean, you can go back and forth about, we're going to look at his passing tree in just a second. But I mean, how are you gonna stop him? His legs, okay. We'll beat you over the top. We'll show you his deep ball. Okay, take away, I don't know, maybe the deep ball, then he's gonna run on you. Yo, Paul, I know, man. The anticipation for the Georgia game, we'll get you through it. But I know that's the downside of having a bye week before the college football game of the century. Right? And not to get political, but Donald Trump's expected to be at the game as well. The last time he was here, I think, for LSU and Alabama, I remember the game. I mean, the atmosphere should be unbelievable. I should rent my house out for, X amount, and I should just leave town. But I got to work that day. Michael Field says, why isn't Jaheim Otis getting more playing time? When you look to the snap counts when we did yesterday, he's playing behind Tim Keenan, who's playing at a really high level, and so is Tim Smith. So, Jaheim Otis is getting in the rotation, but those two guys, I think, are, playing a little bit better than him, I would say. And they're not playing a lot of snaps. Like on defense, I think the player that played the most against Wisconsin was like 46 snaps or something like that. And then, with Keon Keeley, going back to that topic, I think, look, LT Overton is playing like incredible football. Same thing. Like, you can't take Ryan Williams off the field just to get someone else reps or, throw the ball to them. Like, he's wide receiver number 1. Jeremy Bernard is wide receiver number 2. Okay, now you can rotate your slot position players or, get the football to them. Alabama also likes to use two tight ends. So 2 tight ends, 2 wide receivers, like Jeremy Bernard and Ryan Williams. You can't take those guys off the field. And Keon Keeley, what, you're going to take off LT Overton? You're going to take off Jameer and Lathan? I mean, Overton is on. We showed the Pro Football Focus grades yesterday. Overton, these are the guys that are playing that have elite grades on Pro Football Focus. Tim Keenan, LT Overton, Deontay Lawson, Jahar Campbell, Keon Sabb, and Malachi Moore. Oh, yeah, Chris, man, I've thought about definitely, renting out the house. It's just, I got, it's me and the kids here. So I was like, and I don't have any family in Tuscaloosa. So I couldn't go live, go stay with somebody else. And the hotels as well, man. Like, you can't get a hotel here. The rooms a night, I had to check on that. It'd be like $1,200 a night or something like that. But yeah, I could rent. I mean, I have a buddy who rents out his lake house. Actually, he just sold his lake house. But they were renting their lake house out. I don't know. They got one weekend. I don't know. They made it was incredible. Like $25,000 for the weekend or something like that. Now his lake house is like on another level, but people pay whatever. And going back to my last topic, can anyone stop Jalen Milroe? You look at the teams that beat Alabama last year. What did they do to beat Alabama? Michigan, Texas. What did those teams do? Right? Texas created turnovers. What did Michigan do? Right? What did they do to stop Alabama? Were they able to contain Milroe? I mean, do you follow South Florida's playbook with better players and just send the absolute house? I don't know. I mean, Milroe still had, 4 touchdowns against South Florida. Yo, I'm watching, you know what? I'm watching that South Florida and Miami game. Alex Galish, Mario Cristobal, sure, I'll take that. All right. Here's a look at the offensive and defensive totals. William, it's all good, brother. I see you, man, inside the comment box. Look, and I've been saying this. Sometimes I put stuff out and it happens in the atmosphere. Not because I control anything, just because I put things together. I've said this dating back to last year when I knew that Alabama and Georgia were going to play this year. I said, there's a chance that this year, there's still a chance, okay, that Alabama and Georgia play 3 times in one season. That's how crazy college football is. And you're like, they can't play 3 times. But think about this. They play right now. They finish out 1 and 2 in the SEC standings. They play. That would be the second time. You think either of those 2 teams, if they made the SEC championship game, one of them's going to miss the playoffs? No. Then they get put on the playoffs on opposite sides of the bracket with the 1 and 12, and then they meet up for the championship 3 times. That would be bananas. You talk about drama. Let that sink in. All right, what we're looking at, if you're listening to podcasts, we're looking at the total numbers, by the way, available on Apple Podcasts and Spotify. Just type in Bama Football on YouTube. Make sure you type in Bama Football on YouTube on Spotify. And then we also got a very active Facebook and TikTok. But we're looking at the total numbers for Alabama's defense and the offense. Offense on the left, we'll start with the offense, all right? Points per game, 49.0. That's 7th in the country. Total offense, the yards per game, 466. That's 27th in the country. Now, there's a lot of teams tied because there's only been 3 games, so this will shake out more as we go forward. Pass offense, 228 per game. That's 70th in the country. And then rush offense, 238. That's 20th in the country. Now, third down offense, 52%. That's 16th in the country. Talking about the defense, on the right, points allowed, 8.0, 14th in the country. Total defense, 248 yards. That's 20th. Pass defense, 115. That's 10th. I mean, that's fact. And the rush defense, 132, which doesn't sound like a lot, but you're ranked 71st in rush defense right now. I love this stat right here. The third down defense, 16%. Man, that is unbelievable. Teams facing Alabama have been 8 of 49 on third downs. That's third in the country. Just absolutely fantastic numbers. Are there any numbers that jump off to you when you look kind of at the total numbers? I mean, the third down defense is absolutely phenomenal. Keep that, please. Third down offense, 52, anything over 50%, right? You want to get closer to 60% clearly. But 52%, don't look at that as being bad. Like, that's not too bad. That's definitely above average. I mean, look at the balanced approach, too, by the offense. 230 passing, 240 rushing. Hey, Chris, I appreciate you, man. And then the rush defense, I mean, 132, it doesn't sound like a lot, but it'll put you back at 71 for the time being. And then, look, the passing defense, 115 a game in grass basketball. Now, 2 things. Is the secondary doing a good job? Yes. But this is fact. Or no, this is opinion. The quarterbacks they face have been terrible. You see Tyler Van Dyke, too? He's out for the season? Man, that's terrible news. Out for the season. That's terrible. Mr. Big Homie saying that Bry's going to be playing in Canada. Yo, he's he is benched for Andy Dalton. Yo, that's the thing about the NFL. They don't play. Yo, it's about wins and losses. That's it. And I mean, this is a small sample size looking at the total numbers, but we have a little bit of data to work with after 3 weeks. Now, the more games you play, and now as we start to turn into SEC play, that's when the numbers really matter. I mean, let's face it. Alabama's played Western Kentucky, South Florida, and Wisconsin. But this is the data that we have to work with. Okay. All right. Let's go full monitor on this. If you're listening on podcast, I'll try to do my best to explain it. What we're looking at is Jalen Milroe's passing tree. I'll read this out. And this is from Pro Football Focus. So, to the deep left, he has a passing grade of 69.9. And when we're looking at these grades, put like for school, if you got a 70, that's like an 80 on this. If you're in the 60s, that's in the 70s. And if you got in 80s, that's like 90s. That anything in the 80s that we talk about on Pro Football Focus is like NFL, pretty much elite. All right, so the deep left, 69.9. He is 1 of 2. He has a touchdown. That's to the deep left. I believe that's probably the touchdown that he just threw, right, to Jeremy Bernard, right? That was to the deep left. To the deep center, he is 86.2 grade. He is 3 of 4. Think about the touchdowns he threw to the deep center, right? That last game, that was to Josh Cuevas. That was a beautiful throw, beautiful play design, 100%. And to the deep right, that's where he's connected with Ryan Williams a few times, twice, right? He has a grade of 86.0. So we continue to see those high grades with the deep passing ball. Now, intermediate, which I think is under 20 to the outside left, he is 0 for 2 with a grade of 39. Intermediate center, 2 of 3 with a grade of 64.9. Intermediate right, 2 of 2, grade of 73.0. Short left, he is short left is 10 yards. 6 of 7, those are like, think of a short left to like a pass to Justice Haynes. 6 of 7, 73. 5 of 6 to the short center. Short right, 3 of 3. And anything behind the line of scrimmage, 3 of 3, 6 of 5 to the center, and then 2 of 2, right? I think it was Josh Pate, who, right, king of college football, everybody, watches his show, said that the short game and the intermediate passing game, which is a very popular topic, that it's not going to be a part of Milroe's offense. And I was thinking about that, and he probably sounds like another amazing point by him, right? Like, he's going to beat you over the top, or he's going to run the football, or they're going to pound you with their running backs. So, I think we can all agree that Milroe's deep ball, man, it's on point. Like, he does this weekly. Weekly we see him going over the top of defenses and throwing touchdowns. We're not going to see that Tua, slant over the middle and then the wide receiver take it 80 yards. That's just, we've never really seen that from Milroe, which is fine. 6 points is 6 points. Whether you dink and dunk or whether you go for, a 50-yard pass. Now, I have to say, I loved Tua's deep ball. But, man, Jalen Milroe throws a really nice deep ball. And with the weapons that he has and with Ryan Williams playing, like an NFL-type wide receiver, what are you going to do? Tough as Nails asked inside the comment box, Kyle, everyone says that Jalen's running too much. Last year, we were asking for him to run the ball, and now we're getting it. And you put the ball in the player who has, the best ability to make plays. You have running backs that can certainly do it, but man, Milroe is like a man amongst boys. Think about this. Last year, the dude was sacked 44 times. I would go in, interview him. Man, that dude, he's so well put together, 230 pounds. Yo, he's built for it. He's built for the NFL. It's a man's game. So the design runs, I like him. I like him inside the red zone. I think you get him at 10 with 10 yards running an RPO, taking it to the outside like he did against Wisconsin. That's 6 points every single time. I do want the running backs to eat though too. So, he's tough to deal with. He's just so tough to deal with. He puts points on the board and he wins. I can't even imagine being Kirby Smart right now and thinking about how are you going to stop this guy? What are you going to do? So that's a look at Jalen Milroe's passing share. I appreciate you guys being here. Kyle Anderson, Bama Football on YouTube. By the way, he was out with Ryan Williams yesterday here in Tuscaloosa at T-Mobile, signing autographs. Big turnout. Remember, you can support the players by doing those things or by going to Athletes Thread and buying some of their gear. I just got an email said that one of the hoodies should be delivered today. If you go to Athletes Thread, just type in the player's name and you can buy like the type of merchandise that they have. All right. Dude, Angel, the Vikings are good, bro. Here's the freshman report. Now, there's a lot of freshmen that I've played. And at some point in time, I'll give you a snapshot of how all the freshmen have done. I mean, in the first game, there was 19 freshmen that played. Here are some freshmen that have played, gotten on the field a lot. Right. I know, Jimmy. I have a lot of hoodies, man. I'm gonna chill after these two after these two come in. So I mean, how could I not get those other two hoodies, right? All right. Ryan Williams, 285 yards receiving and 4 touchdowns through 3 games, which is crazy. Right. Man, I feel silly, but setting the over-under at 500 for him, he's going to break that in like 2 more games. Xavier Brown, 145 snaps at corner. Jalen Milroe, 63 snaps at corner. He's also returned a punt this year for Alabama for 28 yards. Red Morgan getting a ton of snaps at Husky. He's right behind Devontae Smith. They each play a ton in this defense. And then Caleb Odom has 5 receptions for 45. Odom actually had 2 receptions last week, catching both passes from Ty Simpson. We've seen other freshmen jump on the field. We saw like Rico Scott. We saw a little bit of Bubba Hampton. Zay Mincy gets in as well. Jay Lindsey, the tight end, gets in. You saw Justin Okoronkwo. You've seen Caden Jones. Trying to think of more freshmen that have come in and played. Caleb Odom, he looks great. I started thinking about, I love talking about wide receivers and kind of the future of that position. Jamarcus, oh my goodness, man. Yo, that's my hoodie fund. Case, I appreciate the super chat, man. Thank you so much. Yo, yeah, man. Thank you so much for the hoodie fund. I appreciate you hitting me with the 50 spot, man. Thank you so much. It really means a lot. Ways to support the channel: super chats, becoming a fan funder. A simple thumbs up goes a tremendous way. Thank you very much. I appreciate it. And I started thinking about the future of the wide receivers. I'm like, okay, Ryan Williams, Caleb Odom's already looks it, and he's doing it, right? Rico Scott, haven't really seen Amari Jefferson get opportunities yet. Latsier Brooks, did you see this? Latsier Brooks, who's out of New Jersey, he's in the class of 2025. He just made a catch that was the number 2 play on SportsCenter's top 10 plays. The dude, I mean, are you serious? That guy's coming here. And then Caleb Cunningham? Man. And this is the other thing. Alabama's, all of the wide receivers can come back next year. Jeremy Bernard, if he wanted to. Kendrick Law could come back if he wanted to. Kobe could come back. Emmanuel Henderson could come back. Cole Adams could come back. Dude, it's wild. And I think that you'll see more of Zay Mincy, I would imagine, as we go forward. And that's the other thing. I mean, you look at the young defensive backs that are really getting playing time. Zay Mincy has 19 snaps. He's not pictured on this graphic, but Red Morgan, as you see, 73 snaps. Jalen Milroe, 63, and Xavier Brown. Man, by the back end of the season, these guys are sophomores with over 200 snaps. So the secondary, they're already good, and they're super young. Who was the guy who transferred, the secondary player who transferred to Florida? Was it Grimsley? Man. Oh, yeah, Jalen Hell. And thank you, Trainwreck. Talking receiver still. And Jalen Hell when he gets healthy. And Jaron Hamilton. Man, that is unbelievable. And everybody's been talking about this same topic, too, when you talk about the Alabama secondary. Man, nobody's even been talking about Caleb Downs. I mean, we've brought that up because we're not missing it, but Keon Sabb and Malachi Moore they've been playing elite. Their Pro Football Focus grades have been great. You didn't even remember Caleb Downs. I mean, I would have thought that would have been kind of a little bit of a wound. It hasn't been at all. Oh, yeah. I mean, when you look to the snap counts and to the grades of the players, Romeo, I mean, honestly, dude, so many players can come back next year. It is wild. I mean, you look at some of the guys that are, kind of older. CJ Dupree will leave. Q Rob will leave. But most everybody can come back if they wanted to. Even like superstars like Deontay Lawson, who won't. Jaha Campbell, who won't. Right? Malachi will leave. But a lot of those guys could come back. Even Damani Jackson, he can come back if he wanted to. All right. Well, as I was saying, so Jarvis has updated us inside the comment box. Georgia is favored in this game by 2.5. The total points scored is 51.5 as of September 17th. It started out in the preseason at 4.5 with Georgia being the favorite. I said, and this isn't being fancy, I feel like Alabama is the favorite in this game. Not only because of how Georgia played against Kentucky, I just watched the two teams. I think that Alabama has a better football team. Carol is saying, Kyle, look for this. Kirby will have 2 spies on Jalen Milroe. Yeah, I mean, he's definitely got to find a way to stop him. He hasn't been able to, he hasn't been successful against Alabama when you looked kind of the tail of the tape since 2015, right? I mean, in 2022, they won the College Football National Championship against Alabama 33-18. Last year, it was 27-24. I think in that loss, you have Alabama losing their top wide receivers. But you can't say that. I mean, Georgia won that game. But it sounds like if you kind of zoom out, or if you just talk to the general college football fan, doesn't it feel like it's Georgia that has won like the last, 10 games against Alabama? But look, I'm not making this up. Like, okay, 2023 Alabama won, 2021 Alabama won, 2020 Alabama won, 2018 Alabama won, 2028 Alabama won, 2015 Alabama won. But it seems like when we step outside and look at the college football national media and we listen to it, seems like Georgia has won all those games. It's wild. And Georgia fans, they don't remember any of these games besides 2022. 2022 is the only game that Georgia has played against Alabama in their mind. Am I wrong? Right? It is crazy. They have played, in Georgia fans' mind, they have played one time ever, and that was in 2022. It's the wildest thing. So, I got here in 2017, so the first time I saw these two teams play was in that national title game. So those have been all the games that I've seen. So, I mean, to me, I'm like, okay, yeah, of course Georgia has a great team. It's about time that they're at this level. It's about time that they're here, because we've been waiting for such a long time. We've been copying every single element of the program. It's about time that they're here. We've expected this. Kirby Smart has every single thing. Plus, as much as I love the high school football here in Alabama, your backyard is Georgia. They should be doing what they're doing. They have so many elements to what have they won? The last 33 out of 34 games? So them coming in to Tuscaloosa, being the favorite, winning all those games, the preseason number one, all the pressure is on them, in my opinion. Coach Jalen Milroe just got here. He hasn't even coached a game in the SEC. They have the better, right? Like the national media, they have the quarterback that people want, right? Carson Beck. Right? People are like, oh, yeah, Carson Beck. I mean, I get it. The guy threw for 4,000 yards. I still take Jalen Milroe over him. Jalen Milroe, I mean, he's the guy I'm rolling with. Yeah, they have the quarterback. I mean, did you see? And the other thing, too, is I guess you can't say, like, culture problem. But, like, the off-the-field issues that Georgia has had. I mean, they just recently had another guy, get it pulled over? Was he arrested, too, for speeding? You know, that sort of stuff starts up top. So yesterday, that brings me to Jalen Milroe. He was talking about Jeremy Bernard apologized to the team. Basically, after the game, to the reporters, Jeremy Bernard said that they couldn't wait to shut Jump Around, like that song up after, you know, they beat Wisconsin. Because I guess they played Jump Around all week going into that game. Jeremy Bernard, you know, coach wanted him to handle himself in a better fashion. Jeremy Bernard apologized to the team. So that was that, if you were confused on what happened with that. And I said this, look, the other time too is I honestly love the way Alabama players handle themselves publicly when they're in these press conferences, because if you look at what's happening in Colorado, right, with another top-tier quarterback, what if Jalen Milroe was talking like that? What if Jalen Milroe was talking trash to Georgia or talking you see what I'm saying? I think sometimes people forget that too, about kind of like the brand that he is carrying for himself. And for Alabama, like that's the guy. He was just in New York doing he was on CBS. And every single time he handled himself with absolute class. What did Coach Saban always say? Freshmen play when they are mature. So yeah, you might see like social media Ryan Williams, but Jalen Milroe, what he says is he's very mature, handles everything like business. And he went into Jeff Allen. He's like, put me on the same training program as Devontae Smith. What is that training program? Devontae Smith is like 170, right? Eat a chicken breast and be in the gym all day long and catch 5,000 passes. Smitty had a nice game last night for the Eagles, although the Falcons came out on top. So I don't know. Getting back to it, I feel that Georgia is just, the pressure's on Georgia. Like, this is their team. They're coming in as the favorite. Kirby Smart is like the guy. Right? Yeah, I mean, I'm sure Georgia was so happy that Coach Saban left. But I don't know. I just saw another tweet that Coach Saban has been talking a lot to Coach Kane Womack and helping him with the defense about kind of the, ideas. I don't think he's talking to Kirby Smart about that. So you still have Coach Saban a little bit up in there. And Coach Saban's going to be at College Football Game Day, and Coach Saban's going to pick Alabama. Jarvis is saying if Alabama goes up 2 touchdowns on Georgia, that's game over. Could be. And this will be an amazing opportunity for the offensive coordinator, Nick Sheridan, in his young career, and Coach Kane Womack to showcase what they can do schematically against a very good football team. I mean, what an opportunity. You start off your SEC career going against Georgia. So I know it's a long ways away, but the 28th, it'll be here before you know it, end of September. And that'll be, an opportunity to show where Alabama is at this point in time. Now, it's a long season. It's not a make or break game. But you don't let somebody come into your house, specifically like Georgia, and win the game. The biggest thing that ever happened to Texas was them beating Alabama here in Tuscaloosa. You'll never hear the end of it. That was the biggest thing that ever happened to Texas. So you can't let them. Plus, you're going to have a bunch of recruits in town. And we're still in the honeymoon phase of Coach Jalen Milroe. The guy's done every single thing right. They've won every single game by large margin. I'm curious to see how the media, how the fans react when things get a little bit bumpy. If they even do. I don't know. Maybe this team's just a complete buzzsaw. Maybe we'll never know that. I don't know. But I appreciate you guys being here today. Today we talked about the bye week injury report. If you're just jumping on, I'll go over the injury report one more time. Sometimes people jump in at different points in time. Cole Adams, arm, week to week. Quay Russo, leg. It looks like a positive update that's coming from Coach Jalen Milroe on Monday. Malachi Moore, head. Looks like another positive update. I would imagine each of those. I don't know about Quay just yet, but the positive update is great considering how bad it looked on TV. These injuries have looked bad on TV. Richard Young, leg, coach said that he needs to evaluate that more. He's a third running back within Alabama's offense, and then Jeremiah Alexander out with the unknown injury, and then Jalen Hill suffered an injury during the springtime, and he is still out. We also talked about the biggest question marks for this group, at least the ones that we could come up with. We talked about deep ball versus an accurate quarterback. We talked about the fact, will we see more Kendrick Law and Kobe Prentice? Is there an issue with the run defense? They're ranked number 71 in the country right now in run defense. Will we see more Keon Keeley? Or is LT Overton just absolutely feasting, and you got to keep him in there? And, the biggest question for, I think, college football is, can you stop Jalen Milroe? Right? 746 yards and 14 touchdowns through 3 games. We looked at the total numbers, right? Alabama scoring 49 on offense, allowing just 8. Biggest stat for me that stands out is this third down defense, which is absolutely phenomenal. Teams have had third downs against Alabama 49 times. They've only been able to get 8 first downs, which is just absolutely crazy. And then we highlighted the fact that rush defense is allowing 132, which is 71 in the country. We looked at Jalen Milroe's passing tree. We went over the deep left, the deep right, looked at those intermediates, talked about a couple talking points here. And then we talked about the freshman report. Of course, Ryan Williams. We added Caleb Odom to this list. 5 receptions on the season for 45 yards. And then we ended talking about a little bit of Alabama, Georgia. Now, this won't even be, close to our comprehensive preview of the college football Super Bowl, at least round 1. I also brought up the fact that these two teams theoretically could play 3 times based on, where they finish in the SEC, 1 and 2, based on where they are put in the playoffs. I don't know, opposite sides of the bracket. I can't even imagine 3 opportunities to cover Alabama versus Georgia, right? That would be a hell of a season. I'm hoping for it, to be honest. There's nothing like an Alabama versus Georgia game. Fam, I appreciate you being here. I'm live every Monday through Friday. Monday at 10 a.m., Tuesday through Friday at 9 a.m. You can also watch on replay. You can catch it on Spotify, Apple Podcasts, and Spotify. We got a really active Facebook channel, ton of Facebook action, basically just comments, right? It's like a message board, a free message board. Just look it up, Bama Football on YouTube. Also on X, and if you're a TikTok person, just look up Bama Football on YouTube. Throw up some funny videos or just, a small, literally I post like once a week on TikTok. So, but you can follow the channel as well. All the news comes here to Bama Football on YouTube. I appreciate you guys being a fan funder for only $2.99 to support the product. The product is honestly me. I have to support myself through the YouTube channel, which I choose to do. I love to do this, and I believe that I understand the responsibilities of covering the channel this big, and I honestly put my heart and soul into every single show and into every single graphic. I cook up the graphics myself, so I'm always adjusting and working to make sure that you have something aesthetically eye-pleasing to look at. If you do see an error in one of the graphics, let me know, and I'll update it. We updated yesterday Yanzi Pierre's number, and then we had Cam Howard. It's Cam Ward. That was my apology. But I'm always trying to fix things. So I'm accountable for the graphics. So, I love to do them, and I hope you guys have enjoyed my segment this morning right here on Bama Football on YouTube. News as it happens, I got you covered. I really appreciate you guys being here. Thank you so much for giving me the opportunity. Please support the players. Please support other Alabama football YouTube channels, other Alabama, premium sites, whatever. Look, I've been in this industry for a long time. I know a lot of the people that are working in those areas. They are absolutely grinding and giving their heart and soul to cover the Alabama Crimson Tide. No matter if it's a small channel, big site, small site, whatever, please support all those people. I really appreciate you guys for joining me today. Coming to you from Tuscaloosa, Alabama, Kyle Henderson of Bama Football on YouTube. Case, I appreciate the 50 spot, man. Thank you so much, Kyle Henderson. Until next time, fam. Talk to you soon right here on Bama